Howdy, folks. I'm Meddlesome Mendelevia, messily misconstruing merry marriages.
I'm Amber.
And here are more merry marriages for us to misconstrue. I don't think I even know what that means.
Well, it sounds like what you're trying to do is just insert doubt into these merry marriages, misconstruing things that you see.
That's right, folks. World's greatest gaslighter here. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Leaving My Stepdaughter's Birthday Party After My Husband Threw Out the Cake That I Made for Her? I'm a female, and I've been married to my husband, Jeff, for a year now. He has a daughter, 12, with his deceased wife. When I first met Jeff, it was obvious that he was struggling as a single parent. For my stepdaughter's birthday, he'd usually get a cake from the bakery. This has been the case since her mom passed away. I thought that I would bake a birthday cake for her 12th birthday. That was last week as a gesture to show some motherly love and support. Jeff agreed, and he told me what his daughter's favorite flavors were and what she likes on it, and so on and so forth. I baked the cake in the flavor that she likes and the icing that she likes, but one thing was missing, and that was the blueberries, and I couldn't include them because I went to the nearest store and they didn't have them. I was running out of time and I couldn't get them, so I ended up just leaving the cake as it was, thinking that it would be no big deal. The party started and Jeff was busy taking care of everything else. He then came into the kitchen and asked to see the cake before bringing it out. I showed it to him and he got so angry when he saw that there were no blueberries on top. He went on and on about how I didn't fully commit to making the cake and that he trusted me to take care of it, and basically saying that he should have just ordered one from the bakery. When we got into an argument, he ended up just taking it and throwing it into the trash can. I was stunned as he said, "You know what? Forget it. I'll get one from the bakery." I blew up and I screamed at him. He told me to stop, but I went upstairs. I got dressed and I left. He tried getting me to stay, but I refused and went to my parents. He later called and then texted about how I overreacted and hurt him and my stepdaughter by leaving. Also, he said that I created the situation by not properly making a birthday cake, just because I didn't put blueberries on top. I refused to respond, but my parents say that he was justified since he must have felt pressured and stressed from making his daughter happy on her birthday. He keeps trying to speak to me, but I don't respond. Did I overreact? Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think OP overreacted here. I don't think that she's a jerk. I have eaten many a birthday cake that is not my exact favorite. And you know what? It's fine. Like, sometimes the ingredient you want runs out. Sometimes people just get a different flavor of cake because that's what they like. It's very clear that OP was trying her best to do something special for the daughter.
Yeah.
And, sometimes the store, like if you're making the cake the day before and the store doesn't have, a specific ingredient, there's not much you can do at that point.
Well, I think this was just an unfortunate situation because at this time of year, fresh blueberries may or may not be available. I don't know. It just really depends on the season and your geographic location and those kinds of things. And it's too bad that he overreacted and blew up at OP, and he didn't even accept any blame here, right? All he's been doing this entire time is deflecting onto OP. I understand the frustration of not having things exactly perfect, right? But that doesn't give you an excuse to mistreat somebody or verbally abuse them and then also throw out their hard work.
Right. I mean, the daughter would have been fine. I mean, maybe she would have been a little disappointed there weren't blueberries, but she would have been fine.
Yeah.
And, OP could have just explained they didn't have blueberries at the store. And, hopefully that would be an acceptable response. Like, sometimes in life, not everything goes perfectly, and that's an important thing to recognize. It seems like OP isn't being like a horrible stepmom trying to sabotage the daughter's birthday. She made an honest effort to do something nice for her and was just missing one little ingredient.
Yeah.
And I really do not like his behavior here. It's completely unacceptable to berate someone and throw away their hard work like that. Like, that is very, very awful and cruel.
Yeah.
And then to be like, oh, you're the one who's doing something wrong when OP doesn't want to stand around and be berated anymore.
Yeah. Let me know what you folks think, though. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Almalahua says, not the jerk. You went out of your way to research what kind of cake that your stepdaughter would want. You put in the effort to bake the cake after agreeing with the dad on you baking the cake, and baked a lovely birthday cake. It was just missing one of the decorations because you couldn't source it in time. He went nuclear and threw out your cake. Yeah, I wouldn't have stayed around for that either. It is a childish, vindictive, aggressive, and hurtful way to deal with what he saw as a less than perfect situation. He seemed extremely overprotective of his daughter. She's 12 and probably would love this cake even if it didn't have blueberries. Even if she had noticed and said something, she could have just been told that the shop had run out. And at her age, she should be able to understand and deal with that kind of disappointment. Are you pushed aside in other parenting situations too? How is your relationship with your stepdaughter? It's only been a year and he's already treating you like this. I would reconsider this marriage. And Cold Hammerforge says, not the jerk. No cake in history of cakes has been ruined by not having blueberries. I've been around people who would get this picky about blueberries. It's never about the blueberries, it's about control. It's a huge red flag. Watch out for how easily he comes unhinged about other little things. If it's always your fault, look up the characteristics of narcissists and see if he fits the bill. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Mentioning My Granddaughter's Inheritance? I think that I'm being reasonable here, but my daughter-in-law's family thinks that I'm the jerk. I need other opinions. As some background, my 36-year-old son is married to Mary, a 36-year-old. Mary has an older sister, Susan. Susan is the golden child, and the family always viewed Mary as less than. When my son was ready to propose, he followed Mary's wishes and asked her father for permission. Her father said yes, but pointed out that there was a family tradition that he needed to follow. Traditionally, the grandmother gave the wedding engagement rings to the first granddaughter to be married. Grandmother was in Florida for the winter, so he would have to wait until Grandma came back to propose. He wasn't happy, but he agreed. Susan found out, and she pushed her boyfriend into getting engaged and let Grandma know. Mary's mom and grandmother told Mary that Susan would be getting the grandmother's engagement ring, but since Mary's boyfriend had asked, they would compromise and let Mary have the wedding ring. Both girls get married eventually. Susan has 2 daughters, now 7 and 3, and Mary has my now 1-year-old granddaughter. Here's the question. At my granddaughter's first birthday party, Susan brings up the family tradition and explains that her daughters will split the mother's rings like she and Mary did with their grandmothers. Then she laments about how terrible it is that my wedding set isn't diamonds because now my granddaughter will be forced to have cheap rings. While my rings are not diamonds, they are far from cheap. However, that's not my family's tradition. While my granddaughter will eventually inherit my jewelry, I will not be giving up my rings before I die. I explained this, and then I said that there was actually a much better alternative. My granddaughter could have my grandmother's wedding set if she wanted. I was actually wearing them on my right hand, so I showed them to Susan and her mother. They both asked if they were real, since I don't really wear diamonds much. I assured them that these were real diamonds, and it's a very valuable set. Chaos ensued. Susan and her mom think that it was rude for me mentioning that my granddaughter will eventually inherit a much more expensive diamond than Susan's granddaughters will. They think that it's unfair that they will have to split the set while my granddaughter will get the whole set and a more expensive set. For the record, I am very unlikely to ever have another grandchild. If my granddaughter was able to get such a valuable gift, they think that I should never have mentioned it because it will make Susan's girls jealous. I maintain that I didn't bring it up. I only said something when Susan got pushy. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, I don't think OP's being the jerk here. It was very clear that Susan was trying to insult, OP and insinuate that her wedding rings were inadequate so that she can feel superior.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's really the crux of this issue. OP didn't come out punching, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had the rings, and when they asked about the inheritance, OP kindly explained that, oh, I'll be giving them these ones instead. And it seems more like they're just being entitled brats is really what it boils down to.
It seems like they feel like Susan and her children should have the best of everything. She chose who she married. She didn't marry into OP's family. Her daughters are not entitled to OP's family stuff.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Zealous Ideal Law 513 says, not the jerk. Now that said, without any proof, don't be surprised if your son's mother-in-law now takes it upon herself to even things up by treating Susan's daughters differently in her own will. Nothing you can do about it, but I wouldn't be surprised. As an aside, prior to this, how exactly did this tradition work? If Susan got married first without your son also proposing, would she have gotten both rings? And would that somehow have created jealousy between her sister, which I think would matter more than the cousins? And OP replies, yes, if Susan had announced her engagement first, then she would have gotten both. Since Mary announced, she was supposed to get both, but since Susan wanted them, Mary only got half. Alright folks, and our last letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my store owner that we cleaned up the mess after we had high school kids do a takeover on our restaurant? I was shift manager. Why is this getting downvoted so bad? Can people just please upvote and change your vote? I'm 19 and I work as a shift manager at the biggest fast food restaurant in the world. I know people resent me because I was promoted young, but I'm very ambitious and I want the best in life and I will stop at nothing. On Saturday night, we basically had a team takeover done in our store and it was a disaster. Somehow they managed to clamp down all the soda machines and flooded the entire floor with soda. It was literally everywhere. We had the police come and close down the store and get to cleaning. I'm easily the best cleaner in the store, but since I'm shift manager, I had paperwork to do in the office, so I didn't help mop, but I did go out and I gave moral support and told them the spots that they had missed and said a good job. After it was all cleaned up, we reopened the drive-thru and my owner wanted me to gather everyone around and say that he was going to give everyone an Amazon gift card for their extra effort. I had him on the phone and I said, yes sir, we got it all cleaned up. Looks as good as any other day during showtime. The guys who worked there whispered under his breath that we didn't do anything. You hid out and watched TikTok. I wasn't watching TikTok. Sometimes I put up my phone on my desk and I'll scroll while doing paperwork. I quickly said goodbye to our owner and tried to handle the situation, but everyone basically agreed with him, and I reminded them that I'm supervisor now and I have other things to do. They said that they are covered in soda and that I should never have taken credit for their work. I said that we are a team and that's what I meant when I said that. They basically said that I'm really arrogant and people don't want to work for me anymore. And the rest of the shift was so awkward. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think OP was a bit of a jerk here. Like, you have a situation where the store is basically flooded with soda. The paperwork can wait. You know, it seems like an all hands on deck type of situation. But then on top of that, like trying to take credit as if OP actually did something when they were just filing paperwork. Like, I can see why everyone's upset.
Yeah, I think that OP is a very young individual and they may not understand how their actions came across. Now, I think OP, this is a lesson learned, and when you say we, you should really be very careful because as a manager, anything that your people who work for you do, you're going to get credit for anyways. So you can give them credit where credit is due. Just be sure not to take credit for other people's works. That's where a lot of people hate managers, because they'll actually just take credit for someone else's work. They'll take people's ideas and credit them as their own instead of giving the credit to the people who really deserve it. And I think that's going to be a very big pitfall. And it's a good thing that you've learned this early, but make sure to take this lesson to heart and apologize to the people who you're working with.
And don't condescendingly be like, oh, you like come out and give people moral support and then be like, oh, you missed a spot. Like, that also feels very gross too.
Yeah, and another thing is that a lot of people like people who are, deck plate type of leaders where they can get down with the other people and work and actually help them out instead of sitting behind a desk and filing paperwork. A lot of people are going to view you as a boss who's just telling people how to do a job as opposed to a leader who's working with and motivating the individuals to do a better job. So again, I think that this is a kind of a training moment for you, and to realize that you messed up here. And, I would definitely take this to heart. It's not the end of the world. It's not like you've done the worst thing in the universe. You've made a faux pas, and I think that this is certainly something you can come around from. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And the Insanity Engine says, hand down, you're the jerk and probably the worst form of manager that can exist. If you really want to have your good life, like you pretentiously claim, then get out of the food service and into school. The sort of person who thinks that driving ambition is leading a team to Arby's shift manager is suffering from delusions of grandeur. And OP replies, I will go to school for sure, but I want the experience first. I'm going to major in business administration and complex math. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a oh-so-funny, jovial Bob Stein joke. I've already read it, and I know the punchline. It's a vampire with werewolf fangs.
No. What did the monster say when he slammed the door on his hand?
He said, ow, it's a vampire with werewolf fangs. Ow!
No, he just said ouch.
Yeah. I did say that. I said that.
Yeah, but then you said all the rest of your nonsense. If you'd stopped at ouch, you would have been fine. But you were too busy trying to make yourself right that you lost it. You lost the punchline.
I didn't lose the punchline. That was the correct punchline.
No, it's not.
And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Tuesday, spelled T-W-O. Wow, it's already that time of the week. I'm surprised. You wouldn't think I was, but I am. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a birthday present.
Here's your birthday present. It's not exactly what you wanted, but it's as close as I could. You seem horrified.
It's hands.
No, this is the birthday.
I don't want hands for my birthday present.
Here's your birthday present.
Okay.
But we have to pretend like it's something that you actually want and not just an empty envelope. So use your imagination. I think I've lost my punchline. I'm gonna pretend like this is a birthday card and not just an empty envelope. Happy birthday. I made this. We're playing pretend, Brian. It's not really your birthday present. It's not your birthday either.
Yes, I'm pretending. Yes, it's great. Not an empty envelope at all. Thank you.
All right, here, have another birthday present.
No, I think I'm okay. I don't need a jovial Bob side joke. I'll take nothing for my birthday.
I don't have a lot at my disposal. Here, you can have my empty water cup.
It's even worse.
It's not totally empty. There's like a sip of water left. All right, I give up. There's no moral today because Brian ruined it.
What's the present?
I don't remember my punchline after all this time.
All right, I guess we can get a moral at all.
I was just going to say something like, it may not be exactly perfect, but it comes from the heart. Hopefully that's good enough.
And that's a great moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.